What do you do when your boss, your coworkers, or even your daughter openly support the murder of Charlie Kirk? We're going to break this down and so much more in today's Voicemail Friday episode of the Brad vs. Everyone podcast, my daily show where we take on the craziest ideas from across the internet, our media, and our politics, all from an independent perspective. You guys, if you're regulars, you know that on Fridays I take your voicemails and I hear about your woke horror stories, your personal life experiences, and I answer questions that you guys have for me. And honestly, not surprisingly so, given the horrific killing of Charlie Kirk a little bit over a week ago at this point, most of the voicemails I've been getting lately are people telling about the really horrifying experiences they're having with people in their lives, openly celebrating or cheering on this act of, frankly, political terrorism. Now, of course, we've got to navigate these relationships and grapple with the fact that a significant chunk of society seems on board with this kind of political violence at this point. That's why I did the rather unhinged interview with a transgender writer who supported or cheered for Charlie's death, because I do think we need to engage with these ideas and grapple with them, particularly if we want to defeat them, because you can't take something on you don't even understand or refuse to think about or talk about. So we're going to walk through some of these experiences, starting by hearing from somebody who their boss openly was happy that Charlie Kirk was killed. Let's listen.
Hey, Brad, big fan of yours. I just wanted to ask your opinion on this. We've all seen what happened to Charlie Kirk, and it's greatly upsetting for a number of reasons. I do lean right. I was a fan of Charlie's for some things, didn't agree with everything, but I happened to be on a work trip when I found out about the news. And I have two coworkers who, for lack of a better term, seemed celebratory, not quite as bad as we've seen on the internet with people cheering it on or anything, but just kind of made light of the situation. And one happens to be my boss, and I'm trying really hard not to let this make me see them differently, but I don't know how. I'm not considering leaving my job, but there's part of me that is. There's part of me that's like, do I keep working under someone who I know is so different from me, not even politically, but just in the way I value life? Anyways, just wanted to get your opinion, what you would do. Thanks for what you do.
Of course. Thank you for your voicemail and for tuning in. Look, my initial reaction to this is that this isn't just a normal political difference. This isn't my boss is pro-choice, but I'm pro-life. My boss wants gun control and I don't. This is the difference between civilization and barbarianism. Seriously, or barbarism. This is the difference between supporting terrorism or being against terrorism. And I think it's a big deal, actually. And particularly, I'm disturbed by your story because these are not even opinions, it sounds, from what you said. These aren't even opinions expressed like in their personal capacity. You know, what your boss is posting on Facebook or whatever, you could ignore that. They have their right to speak their mind in their personal lives. These are comments and behavior made during a work trip. And yeah, I think it's actually inappropriate and bad to cheer on death at work, really in any kind, but particularly in this kind of horrific political violence situation. And it kind of depends on some details you didn't offer as well. So, for example, if you're working at a very large corporation, and this is just your kind of immediate step up on the food chain, I would submit some kind of complaint to human resources, because it's possible that you could get a new boss if they find out that this is happening on the clock during work trips. If this is some sort of small business or a small team and you're kind of just stuck with these people at this job, I would genuinely consider finding a new line of work, because these don't sound like positive people to be around. And frankly, it sounds like if they knew some of the things you believe that you agreed with on Charlie Kirk, they would hate you. So that means they already hate you and they just don't know it yet. I think you deserve to work with better people. Now, I understand not everybody's financial situation is that they can just get up and leave their job and go somewhere else, but maybe start looking, maybe keep an eye out. Because in the long run, I think you deserve to be in an office environment where you don't have to worry that if you died, people might celebrate your death because you have the wrong opinions. That's pretty dark stuff, actually. And these people sound toxic and really, really, I just think it's not okay at all. I can't believe people are doing this. But what do you guys think? Let our friend here know in the comments below. Make sure subscribed. If you aren't yet, hit that like button while you're at it. Now let's listen to our next voicemail, which is from somebody who their classmates all cheered for this act of terrorism. Let's listen.
Hi, Brad. My name is Shelby. Unfortunately, you're probably going to get a lot of voice notes like this. I was at break from one of my classes. I go to an art college when the news about Charlie Kirk broke. And, I was just talking with people in my class, and one of them saw the news, and they were showing the video around, and they shoved it in my face, like made me watch it, and then were like cheering every time that it happened. They watched it over and over and were just cheering, saying Karma's a bitch, he gets what he deserves, he's a monster. And it made me physically sick. I went to the bathroom, I threw up, I was shaking. It was bad because I just couldn't fathom how they could react that way. And then the rest of the day, looking at their Instagram stories, hearing what they were saying, in class, made me realize that they really didn't see him as human. They were so certain of how evil he was that they really didn't care. And it just, even some of my professors were saying stuff like, oh, if you are upset about his death, then you're not welcome in my classroom. And it just made me spiral, because these people, if they really knew how I thought and my views, then they wouldn't treat me the same. And that scares me. And it was really upsetting. Thank you. I love your videos.
Well, thank you for the note and for tuning in. Oh, my heart goes out to you. I wish I could give you a big hug, because this is so messed up. And this is so not your fault. You need to understand, it can be hard when you're in one of these bubbles, one of these echo chambers. As soon as you said art college, I knew we were cooked. I knew the story was going somewhere bleak. But you have to understand that it might feel like, oh, I'm the crazy one because everyone here thinks a certain way. You're not the crazy one. 9 out of 10 Americans agree with you, and they're just the 1 out of 10, but they are all populated in this echo chamber that is your art college. For the professors who said you're not welcome here if you mourn Charlie Kirk's death, that's actually not okay. You need to report them to the university, because they should not be explicitly telling students they're not welcome in their class. I mean, really, for any political reason, but especially one as commonplace as, oh, if you're sad about terrorism, then you shouldn't be in this class. That's actually quite bad. And that's them saying they don't want to do their job, which is to teach students. So you should absolutely report them. And then for these students in your class who are showing you the video, that's gross. I mean, the video is horrifying. I've, of course, seen it on X and other places, but that's gruesome stuff. And the idea of sticking that in someone's face and laughing, you're demons. Your classmates sound like demons. And I know that it's art school, so it's a unique skill set. You can't just go to any random college for that. So you may need to stick around. Maybe you can't transfer. I mean, I don't know if there's such a thing as a conservative art college, but so you might just have to put up with it for a while, but then hopefully you will take those skills that you learn and work in the art world or in whatever industry you're studying to enter, and you'll bring a different perspective, because this goes underrated, but I think we need people who aren't ultra progressive in the arts. The arts actually matter a lot. I don't have a creative bone in my body, really, not in that sense, not in the artistic sense, but I think you stay strong. It's going to be a rough couple of years, potentially, surrounded by these extremists. But please, please do not lose sight of the fact that you are not the crazy one. I repeat that. You are not the crazy one. They are. And yes, you should keep your guard up as well with these classmates, because if they knew the real you at all, they would hate you. And I'm sorry, I wish that wasn't the case, but it is the case. And you've got to know that and keep them at arm's length as a result, because these are toxic people who, if from what it sounds like, really can't be trusted. They really have dehumanized their enemies, political opponents, that is, and view them as subhuman or the enemy. And I would encourage you guys to, wherever you are in the political spectrum, say that you're right of center, say that you're ultra MAGA, whatever, please do not lose sight of the fact that even people who are not, even liberals, even woke people, even leftists, even Marxists, they are still people. Do not dehumanize them. Never, ever engage and do not treat them the way they treat you, first of all. Treat them the way you want to be treated, because you can only control you, but don't ever let yourself sink to that level, because at the end of the day, that's not good for your soul. That's what I think, at least. You guys let me know what you think in the comments. Sticking on the college trend, we're going to hear from another person whose professor shamed them for being upset about Charlie Kirk. Let's listen.
Hey, Brad. I've spoke on your podcast before. I was the one that talked about the. Never mind. Anyway, at the time of this recording, I'm about to send in a complaint to my college professor about being racist and dismissing me because I'm a white male. When I told her that I was deeply saddened at the fact that Charlie Kirk had passed away, she said, "Oh, you're a white male. Are you a Christian too?" And I said, "Well, yes." And she's like, "Of course you are. You're a white male." I told her that we shouldn't see each other as different races. We should just see each other as different people. And she said, "How dare you?" and used the race card against me because I was a white male. She even said that she wished there was a poster that said Trump is a Nazi still hanging up. And when I told her that that's not true, she said, "Oh, we'll see." And she even said I sounded racist when I was saying that I disliked Oprah. I am making sure that she gets fired because she cannot act like that towards me or any other student.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. It sounds like you would be well within your rights to file a complaint against this professor for either gender discrimination, racial discrimination. I don't even know what, but this is not okay. And I don't know. It's so funny to me, because aren't these colleges supposed to be the safe spaces, right? Aren't they going to be supposed to be the all are welcome, diversity, equity, inclusion spaces? But then they're like, but nah, F you conservatives, F you anybody who's against political terrorism, F you white men. Like, it's really toxic stuff and really sad. And it's like, do your job. Teach your students the thing you're paid to teach them. Stop trying to inject your politics or discriminate against students who aren't on board with your extremist ideology. Very strange stuff, and simply not okay, particularly not okay at a public university. You could also potentially file a complaint with the Department of Education as like civil rights division. Really, I would encourage you to do that as well. This administration might just investigate that professor and that college, and if everything you said is true, they deserve to be investigated. Like, it is so sad that we can't come together, even on college campuses or other places. We really can't come together to be like, hey, this is bad that a person was murdered because of their political views in America. The bar is in hell, and people are still tripping over it. I don't understand. I simply do not understand. But hey, that's just my take. Some interesting stuff that to still unpack on the show today, because we've talked so far about like workplace and education, and that's one thing, because frankly you can and you really should, in these situations at least, keep those people at arm's length. They don't have to be your best friends to be your coworkers. You don't need to be close with your professor to just go to their class and learn the skills you need to learn and then get the heck out of there if it's a crazy left-wing college. But with your family, I mean, family's a different story. So we're going to hear a couple of voice notes from people who are having to navigate this rather tricky issue with their family. First, here's somebody whose father seems to support the murder of Charlie Kirk, or at least be happy about it. Let's listen.
Hi, Brad. My name is Vanessa. Kind of came at this unexpectedly. I was talking to my dad about the Charlie Kirk situation, and I didn't expect him to respond this way because my dad's pretty Republican. He's not for Trump, but he's been pretty Republican for most of his life. But after Charlie died, I texted him saying how horrible it was, and I just can't believe what this country is coming to. And I tried to tell him how Charlie wasn't this horrible person that the media made him out to be. And my father came back with, "You're young, so I'll forgive you." And that spiraled into a bunch of messages about Charlie being a manipulated racist and all kinds of crap like that. And even now he's currently texting me stuff like that, and I just want to know, like, what would you do in this situation? What should I do? I have a good relationship with my dad, and I don't want it to end like this.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry that you're in this position because it sounds like you're young. I don't know how young, but obviously your dad is much older. He should really know better than to be victim blaming the victim of political terrorism, of a political assassination, and saying, well, his skirt was too short. Did you hear what he said about Martin Luther King Jr.? It's like, it doesn't matter. And that's the thing. I would advise you to not engage in the relitigation of everything Charlie said or did, because frankly, Charlie had such a long career that if you want to find lots of good stuff, you can find good stuff. But if you want to find some bad stuff, you can find bad stuff as well. Like anybody, he was a divisive figure. He was very outspoken. He had some edgy takes. And anybody who spends thousands and thousands of hours in front of a microphone is going to say some things that will age poorly. So, like, you're not going to convince somebody who wants to believe he was totally evil otherwise. What you should really do is just talk about, hey, well, let's not argue about whether Charlie was good or bad. Let's just agree that political terrorism is wrong and that it's wrong to kill someone for what they believe in or for what they say or do. And ask him, find somebody that he likes, right? Whatever political commentator, YouTuber, activist, whatever, and ask, how'd you feel if that person was killed? Because somebody disagreed with what they had to say. Well, a lot of people feel the same way about Charlie, and you should respect that. And at some point, you just have to draw a boundary and say, like, listen, I don't really want to talk about this with you. We're going to need to agree to disagree if he wants to keep harping on Charlie's evil, Charlie's bad. And then try to look for the good that's there in that relationship. Because even if your dad has kind of a Delulu take on this, he's not, I'm sure, an irredeemably bad person. And it sounds like you have a good relationship with him. And I would try to preserve that. Definitely try to reason with him. I mean, I think you have an obligation to stand up for what's right. And that means standing against this kind of thing and not engaging in the character assassination of the dude who was just literally assassinated. But if a certain point, if you're not getting through to him, well, just draw a boundary around it. Say, listen, we're not going to agree on this, but this is where I fall down on it. I need you to respect that. And we don't need to talk about it again, and then move forward. Right. It sounds like it's strange to me that you say your dad is otherwise a Republican, but just doesn't like Charlie. But people are odd. People don't have simple black and white beliefs, blue and red, the way that you think. People are mixtures and complicated beings with kind of all sorts of thoughts and perspectives you might not always expect. So it's surprising, but maybe it's not actually totally that surprising, because I've met people with far odder combinations of perspectives than that before. But yeah, so I would just try to keep the good that's there and draw a line around this and say, listen, after a little bit of attempt to reason with them, if you're not getting through, I also think it sounds like you're texting. Would really recommend you have a conversation in person or at least on the phone about it rather than text. Text is just not a productive format for these kinds of conversations, especially about something so emotional and so serious. So I would do that, and then I would just try to preserve that relationship, because even if your dad has his Delulu political takes or whatever, not a whole lot of people don't have a dad at all, and a whole lot of people have broken families. So I would definitely don't let something like that be the end of your relationship or cause a serious problem unless he makes it that, which I don't, it doesn't sound from what you said that he's done that, but certainly you shouldn't. You should take the good that's there. That's my take, at least. You guys feel free to chime in the comments. Now we've got a really interesting voicemail from somebody who is a parent and has the situation where their child is okay with what happened to Charlie. Let's listen to that.
Hey, Brad, it's Ross. I have a issue maybe you can help me with. The other day, as the news was unfolding about Charlie, my daughter arrived, and we got talking, and I'd said something about what's going on the news. And her reply was basically, "You mean that piece of that got hit in the neck?" And I didn't have a reply. I kind of just let it be because I didn't want to react the way my first instinct wanted to, being my daughter. I mean, I love her to death. I know she's got some different views than me, but that's never been a problem. I mean, we've been able to talk about different things, and but this is one that I just had to retract back to my office. I didn't know how to respond, yet I feel I need to. Let me know what you think. Thanks.
Yeah, well, thank you for the note. And I have a little bit of trepidation about offering too much advice because obviously I'm not a parent, so I haven't been there. So I can't necessarily say here's how to parent your daughter or anything. It would have been, and I don't think you mentioned this, would it be helpful to know how young your daughter is? Like, are we talking about 12-year-old? Are we talking about an 18-year-old? Are we talking about a 25-year-old? Because I think if your daughter is under 21, for example, well, take solace in the fact that that brain's still mushy, like the brain is still developing, and she might develop a little bit more common sense as she ages. I think that happens to a lot of us. And then I would try to have a conversation with her about it and put it in terms that apply to her. So whoever her favorite political commentator is, maybe it's Dean Withers, maybe it's from TikTok, maybe it's, I don't know, the Young Turks, if she's more left-leaning, whatever it is, ask her, how would you feel if that person, if some conservative shot that person in public because of what they believe in? She would say, well, that's horrible. That's terrible. And you would have to then ask her, all right, well, that's either okay as a society to kill people because of what they say and what they believe in, or it's not okay. Surely you would agree with me that it's better that we live in a society where we're against that across the board, for your side, for my side, for any side. I think if you put it like that, she'll probably agree with you. And then in terms of that, I mean, that's all you really need to get to. That's all you really need to do, right? You're not going to change her whole political ideology. You don't need to argue with her about whether Charlie Kirk was a good or bad person, but you should just, I think the other thing you could do is help explain to her that the definition of terrorism is using violence to send a political message, right? And get her to agree with you on that and say that, well, killing a conservative activist or killing a political activist because of their beliefs or speech is terrorism, right? Yes. And so you, of course, are against terrorism. When you frame it like that, I think she'll agree with you and she'll understand why this is bad and destructive. But I would try to keep it narrow, the focus of what you're trying to convince her. You're not arguing with her about whether Charlie Kirk was racist. Say, okay, say that he is for the purposes of argument. Just because someone has bad beliefs or beliefs we don't like, it's still not okay to do terrorism to them, right? You agree? Because if you get lost in the weeds of litigating every offensive thing Charlie Kirk ever said in her mind, I think you're not going to get anywhere. That's going to turn into a dead end. So I would recommend avoiding that. And then I would also say to her, well, Charlie has 2 young kids and now they're going to grow up without a dad. How would you have felt if someone had killed me because of my political beliefs and you grew up without a dad, right? Don't you see there's a deeper human level here that transcends politics? That's the approach that I would try to take. And that's really all you can do. I don't know. Beyond that, sometimes people have to grow and evolve and come to these realizations on their own. All you can do is tell her the right messages and beliefs, and whether she chooses to accept them as she becomes an adult ultimately will be up to her. So I hope that she receives this wisdom well and I'm sure you're doing your best. All right, guys, that'll be it for this episode for this Voicemail Friday episode of the Brad versus Everyone podcast. We haven't done one of these in a couple of weeks. I'm glad we're doing it again. But remember, you can send in your voicemails with your woke horror stories, your personal life scenarios, or your questions for me. You can send those in at the link in the description. And with that, guys, make sure you're subscribed if you aren't yet. Hit the like button while you're at it, and we'll talk again real soon.